Thor. 72 days. That is how long 16 people survived above 3,000 meters in the Andes Mountains. With no shelter beyond a broken fuselage, no food supply, temperatures reaching -30, and a world that had already declared them dead. The search was canceled on day 8. Everything after that was a decision no one should ever have to make. October 13, 1972. A chartered Fairchild FH-227D departs Montevideo, Uruguay, carrying 45 passengers, most of them members of the Old Christians Club rugby team, along with family and friends. They are headed to Santiago, Chile for a match. The route crosses the Andes. The pilots plan a refueling stop in Mendoza, Argentina, because the Fairchild cannot clear the highest peaks fully loaded. Weather delays them one day in Mendoza. The next afternoon, they attempt the crossing. The aircraft enters cloud cover over the mountains. The pilots believe they have cleared the ridge and begin descent toward Santiago. They have not cleared the ridge. At approximately 3:34 p.m., the right wing clips a mountain peak. It shears off. The left wing follows. The fuselage, now a metal tube, rockets down a steep snow slope at over 300 kilometers per hour. It comes to rest in a remote valley at roughly 3,970 meters elevation. The tail section is gone. The cockpit is crushed. 12 people are dead or dying. Several more are critically injured. Compound fractures, internal bleeding, head trauma. The remaining passengers, mostly young men in their early 20s, are stranded in a place no one is looking for them. Not yet. For the first 8 days, survivors listen to a small transistor radio, hoping for news of rescue flights. On day 11, they hear the broadcast. The search has been officially abandoned. Authorities concluded no one could have survived. The reaction among the group is devastating. But one detail matters more than grief. They now know that no one is coming. Every decision from this point forward is theirs alone. The immediate threats multiply. Temperature, nighttime conditions plunge to -30 Celsius. The survivors huddle inside the broken fuselage, blocking gaps with luggage and seats. Body heat is their only warmth. Water. Snow surrounds them, but eating snow directly accelerates hypothermia. They fashion metal sheets from the wreckage into crude solar water melters. Injury. Several survivors have broken legs, infected wounds, no antibiotics, no surgical tools. 2 medical students in the group, Roberto Canessa and Gustavo Zerbino, do what they can with fabric and aluminum splints. Food, the most critical problem. The aircraft carried minimal provisions, chocolate bars, wine, small snacks, meant for a short flight. Within days, it is gone. They are above the vegetation line. There are no animals, no plants, no insects, nothing grows here. By the end of the second week, starvation becomes the primary threat. The group faces a decision that has since become one of the most discussed ethical choices in survival history. The dead lie preserved in the snow outside the fuselage. After agonizing collective discussion, many of these young men share a Catholic faith. They resolve to use the remains of those who died in order to sustain those still living. This decision is not made lightly. It is not made quickly. It is made because the alternative is the certain death of everyone. On October 29th, day 16, a new disaster strikes. An avalanche roars down the mountain in the middle of the night and buries the fuselage under heavy snow. 8 more people suffocate and die before they can be freed. The survivors are now numbering 27, soon fewer, dig out with their bare hands in complete darkness. Their shelter is now half filled with compacted snow. The cold intensifies as November barely brings any warming at these altitudes. Weeks pass, bodies deteriorate, weight loss is severe, frostbite sets in on extremities. Small wounds refuse to heal. Several expeditions are attempted, small groups trying to find the tail section for its batteries, or scouting possible routes out. Most turn back, blocked by impossible terrain. One expedition locates the tail section and recovers batteries, but they cannot make the radio work. By early December, it is clear. Either someone walks out of these mountains, or everyone dies here. 2 men volunteer for the final attempt. Nando Parrado, who lost his mother in the crash and his sister to injuries days later, and Roberto Canessa, the medical student who has kept others alive for weeks. They have no mountaineering experience, no map, no climbing gear, improvised sleeping bags sewn from cabin insulation, rations made from what remains. On December 12th, Parrado and Canessa begin walking west toward Chile. The terrain ahead of them is among the most hostile on Earth. A wall of peaks exceeding 4,000 meters, with knife-edge ridges, deep snow, and unpredictable weather. On the first major ascent, they reach a summit they expect will reveal green valleys on the other side. Instead, they see only more mountains. Range after range filling every direction. Canessa wants to turn back. The sight is overwhelming. Parrado refuses. He tells Canessa that turning back means death. Going forward at least carries the possibility of life. They continue. For approximately 10 days, they trek westward. They climb over a pass later estimated at 4,150 meters. In improvised clothing, emaciated, at the edge of physical collapse. Slowly, the terrain descends. Snow gives way to rock. Rock gives way to scrub vegetation. They find a river and follow it downstream. On December 20th, they spot cattle. Then a man on horseback across the river, a Chilean farmer named Sergio Catalan. The river is too loud for voices to carry. Catalan throws a piece of paper and a pen wrapped around a stone across the water. Parrado writes, "I come from a plane that fell in the mountains. I am Uruguayan." Catalan rides 10 hours to the nearest town. Authorities are alerted. The Chilean Air Force dispatches helicopters. On December 22nd and 23, the remaining 14 survivors at the crash site are rescued, 72 days after the world gave them up for dead. 16 people survived out of 45. Parrado and Canessa's trek is considered one of the greatest feats of endurance in mountaineering history. Accomplished by two men with no training, no equipment, and bodies ravaged by over 2 months of starvation. The survivors faced intense media scrutiny regarding their means of survival. They addressed it publicly, together, requesting understanding rather than judgment. Many of the survivors went on to lead public lives. Parrado became a motivational speaker and racing driver. Canessa became a pediatric cardiologist. Several returned to the crash site decades later. What the Andes case reveals about survival is not simple. It is not one heroic act. It is 72 days of consecutive decisions to share warmth, to organize duties, to confront an impossible ethical question collectively, and ultimately, to send 2 of their own into the mountains with almost no chance of success. Survival here was not individual. It was chosen again and again as a group. The mountain did not care whether they lived or died. They had to care enough for themselves.